Hey, welcome to the stream. I'm doing something different. If that's not obvious, I normally don't do the recaps on streams, but I'm so far behind that I kind of have to. Um, I'm gonna try to do the parts where I'm reacting to the video in such a way that I can use it for the recording later. So if I talk if I'm not addressing chat for certain periods of time, it's because I'm trying to record something or trying to use this as part of the recording for the final video. Oh, Pablo Escobar actually. Yeah, the Skunk Ape versus Pablo Escobar was quite the fight. But I'm gonna go through. I think I'm going to go through all of Bigfoot's fights and then go through all Skunk Ape's fights as opposed to doing alternating between the two, because I think in the final product, when I release the videos, I'm going to do them as two separate videos. I might try posting them at the exact same time. So if I don't post a video for a while, I'm probably going to post two videos at the same time and see how that works for the algorithm and whatnot, because I don't think, because I feel like people pick videos based on what robot's about. So instead of having one video, two. I mean, I don't know if they're underrated, because I feel like a lot of people love egg beaters and people think egg beaters are good. So I don't know. Underrated implies that people don't think they're good, and people absolutely think they're good. They're just pretty hard to do. And a lot of people that make antweights don't want to put all the money into an egg beater, essentially. But today we're going over how Bigfoot and Skunk Ape did at Robot Smashing League back in the beginning of September. We're going to talk about Bigfoot first. Going into this event, this is a long time ago, so it might take me a second. During this event, I had, as many of you know, Bigfoot as many of you know, Bigfoot is already on its new version, but for Skunk Ape, I basically just slapped a FingerTech drum onto the front of Bigfoot and put that and signed that up as its own separate robot. The only things that are different is the top plate. I made slight changes to the bottom plate, but the bottom plates are actually interchangeable, and the front's completely different, and obviously the stuff to account for the weapon. And I don't think I made super drastic changes to Bigfoot since the event prior. I've been toying with different geometries on the wheel guards, but occasionally I've been using old wheel guards. But that's all. I made some recent changes to the wheel guards, so there's some problems there. It's kind of, I hate doing an event from a month and a half ago, because I always forget things. I think the only reason there's only four-wheel drive egg beaters in antweights is because finding a weight for an egg beater in four wheels is hard. Front hinged lifter? You mean Wicked Wedge? That would be an interesting choice. Maybe when I scale it up, maybe if I scale it up to Beetle, maybe I'll do that. It'll be a Wicked Wedge knockoff. But we've been to RSL a million times, so it's modified Swiss. I need to get 3 wins to make it to the single elimination bracket, and I get at least 4 fights. And the first fight Bigfoot has at this event is against Cookie Cutter. Cookie Cutter is a Viper kit that has been heavily modified. It's a 2-wheel drive vert. It is probably, if not the most, one of the most competitive Viper kits. At least it's definitely the most competitive in the Midwest, if not the entire country. I don't know if it'd still be Bigfoot if it had a front hinge lifter though. Okay, so we'll just get into the fight. I'm probably going to talk over it, but then I'll pause it afterwards. I have to change cameras. Okay, going to this view. We're going to set up a little bit. I have to make sure I'm actually centered. Yeah, there's kind of a ship of Theseus thing going on with cookie cutter. At what point does it cease being a cookie cutter? Or cease being a Viper kit? That's right. This way? Okay. This was the first fight of the round. I don't know what. I thought this copy was driving straight. I don't know what happened there. His forks can definitely get underneath mine. I don't think I had the right type of forks for this fight. I don't. Yeah, here I'm thinking the flipper is stuck. I don't remember if it actually was. Oh no. Here I get stuck in this corner. He does help me get out of there. So, oh. Yeah, we're in there. Okay. So at first I was obviously I didn't fix the flipper issue, switching out the because all I had done between the two events was turn off the stall protection. That's all I did between the two events. And there was actually another issue of why it was getting stuck that had nothing to do with the actual ESC. After this event, I figured out that the problem was if the gear is not perfectly lined up and like perfectly square, like if because it's mounted to plastic that's mounted to more plastic, and if everything's not tightened like perfectly, I think what I did to fix it, but I didn't do it actually at this event, I did it at a later event, is that I basically loosened some screws where the where the motor mounts to the uprights. I basically tightened one screw and loosened it, and it worked after that, which is kind of wild that it was something that small and it took that long to figure out. And looking back at the footage, if I know most of my footage doesn't have the timer on it, but by the time I was actually stuck, the match was almost over and I was pretty much losing the entire time. I think if I would have had, either metal forks or maybe if I'd had forks kind of more like what Skunk Ape has, where they're not just the whole front of the robot, maybe something that is a little bit more concentrated instead of just having the finger forks. $180. Do you mean like going downward or going further back when you say 180 degrees? Because there's like an actual robot in the way, like, because the current version I think does go just about 180 degrees. Yeah, I have found that plastic forks have been doing pretty well for me recently, but they have to be just right. Further back. Yeah, it goes about 180 degrees currently. Not really much reason it can't go for. Actually, at a certain point, a problem that I would run into is the gear is only has so many teeth, so it can only go back so far. So for how it is now, if it went too far back, there'd be no more teeth to go further back on Bigfoot. But we're off to losing start. It seems like I lost because of the flipper. I don't think that's what lost me the fight, because I think I was going to lose it either way. It's just that was the difference between a judge's decision or a knockout, pretty much. Yeah, I think I need more configurations for the forks, but we'll see. Our second fight is against FP Mini. I'll do that without the hands on my head. Our second fight is against FP Mini. I keep yeah. Some of this I may re-record later, but yeah. Yeah, our second fight's against FP Mini. FP Mini is another 4-wheel drive vertical spinner. I don't know why I said another. Let me try. Okay. I need to keep going back to this camera angle when I'm not in the actual fight. Otherwise, it's going to make a lot annoying when I do it later, because I need the regular footage. Our second fight is against FP Mini. FP Mini is a 4-wheel drive vert. I know it's been around a while, and I feel like it's been all over the place, so I'm not really sure what to expect from this fight. I think I can beat him, but I know he's done pretty well at some other events, or I could be thinking of the 3-pound version. I know his 3-pound version of this robot's really good, but I don't think he has had quite the same success with his antweight version of it. So yeah, I don't know why my drive is not going that straight. For whatever reason, he has only one fork in this fight. And that seems to be an ongoing theme in this fight, is that he really struggles to get a bite on me and drives right over me a lot of the times. But at the same time, I'm really struggling to like actually corral him. And he's just sort of so chaotic all over the box. But I can't quite pin him. Oh, that was like the closest thing to a pin we've had so far. Nope. I think that's the most solid hit he got on that whole fight. Oh, a little bigger hit. That was kind of a pin. Kind of corral him in the corner there. So, walking away from that fight, I had no clue what the judges were going to do with that, because I feel like not a lot happened despite both robots being incredibly mobile. Actually, let me switch cameras. But yeah, walking away from that fight, I had no clue who won that fight. I think my driving was actually a little bit sloppy, considering there's a lot of times where I wasn't facing the direction I wanted to, but it wasn't atrocious driving. I actually did getting the judge's decision, probably because he has an active weapon and only got, I think you could probably count on one hand how many times he even hit me at all. And the hits were just kind of like so small that I didn't really take any damage. And I think those last couple pins right at the end, even though they weren't like solid pins, they were enough. And I think them being some of the last things they saw really helped me out. And also the fact he didn't seem to have control over his robot, although my robot kept all four wheels on the ground a lot more than his, I think helped me with that judge's decision. So not too bad. Pretty good start we're coming back from our first loss, 1-1 going into the third fight. Sorry. I was getting up the other video while it got up. Sorry, I'm like about to burp. I didn't want to burp into the microphone or while I was trying to do the next part. Yeah, that's been an ongoing thing even with the previous version of Bigfoot, that it is kind of a ramp, which has been both good and bad. Sometimes it has worked out for me. Thank you. Well, I was a burp. It wasn't a sneeze, but thanks anyways. Our third fight is against Ramp It Up. Ramp It Up is a 4-wheel drive wedge robot. I don't really know much about it, but Bigfoot has had pretty mixed results going against control bots. So I was kind of worried. I was a little bit less worried when he came to the box and he was missing one wheel, which means that maybe he's been having a rough day. So maybe I can win this one. Okay, now I gotta switch over. Okay. Now I'm really ready. Okay. So he gets stuck in the floor pretty quickly. Which works out for me. Front to front, he can get underneath my forks, but I seem to have slightly more traction. A lot of the times that, yeah, I am able to actually push him back far enough to get a pin, but barely. Yeah, him having the metal forks and me having plastic forks is really helping me out as the floor gets beat up. I'm able to get just enough. I actually let up on the throttle so I don't overheat my motors here, because I was worried if I push too much that I'll either like ruin the tires or like the motor will burn out. I think the forks got stuck in the wood there. Mine did. As previous me said. Not sure why. What's funny is that my lifter got stuck even though I wasn't even trying to do a flip. I'm not sure why I did that. And I think if my flipper wasn't stuck in the upward position, I might have knocked him down. But since I know that if I get flipped upside down, forgot that. I don't want to talk over myself. I think if my flipper wasn't stuck in the upward position, I might have actually knocked him down. But I knew if I got flipped over for whatever reason, or even like got into a weird spot on the wall, that I'd get stuck. So I'm like, ooh, I'm just going to take the knockout, you know, even though I was winning, and I do feel pretty good about driving in that. I think maybe I could have done a little bit more to try to get along to his side, but I don't think it would have amounted to too much. But yeah, I just had the slight advantage in those pushing matches, which really helped me out. Oh, I do not want to do that. Sorry. Okay. It's going to play the audio, and I don't want to do that. Okay. So we're 2-1. If what is true. I've said a lot of things, but I'll do the intro for the next part. Our fourth fight, actually no, so us winning that fight puts us at 2-1 going into the fourth match, meaning that if we win the next one, we'll move on to the single elimination bracket. But if we lose, we're done for the day. And that fourth fight is against Blight, which is a four-wheel drive vert, which is absolutely terrifying because that is the number 1 seed. But I think if things go perfectly, there is a situation in which I win because, you know, Bigfoot's a durable bot, and, you know, maybe if I can get some control. But we'll see how it goes. The odds are not in my favor. Eruption wedgelet changes. What? A 2-2 record? We haven't even seen the fight footage, and he's already saying it's going to be 2-2. You have no faith? You have no faith. You don't think I beat Blight? What's funny is Blight was also 2-1, which is kind of so like there could be an upset. I could have knocked Blight out of the bracket. You don't know that? Hey, let's get into it. See, I'm able to get underneath him. He gets stuck. I try to capitalize. Not ideal. Not sure what that was. It's not super decisive yet, although I'm not doing great. Not quite able to capitalize on him being upside down. Oh. So. Oh, shit. I forgot. I kind of. Sorry. Oh, God. 1 second. I forgot that Let's try. This is my bad. Okay. Let's try this again. We're going to try. Because I forgot. So I forgot that it got stuck in the other version. But. Because the fight was not over. I need to, because I have the camera here, and whenever I lean over, it just ends up looking into the ground. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed I wasn't able to capitalize when he was upside down there, or a lot of times he was upside down. But I think some of the time I'm actually getting stuck. Okay, so I'm like barely not touching the ground here, but I think I just barely get off of it. Despite that, I get underneath them, which is good. See, I'm able to like get underneath them a couple times. See, I'm able to get a good solid pin here. The best pin but he still gets out of it. Okay, yeah. It wasn't until I uh, it wasn't until I reviewed the footage that I realized the fight was basically over when I got stuck. So I end up getting knocked out here, unsurprisingly, because the flipper's stuck. I don't. Oh, it's auto replaying for some reason. There we go. Sorry. Go back to the normal camera. So I probably would have lost even though I end up getting like even if I didn't get knocked out, I probably still would have lost based on how things were. Although you could theoretically also say if my flipper didn't get stuck, I would have been able to like actually get flips in when I got those two pins right at the end. So it was actually a really close fight. I don't feel too bad about how I drove there because I did get a couple pins in. I didn't get he didn't wipe the floor with me. It was still a like interesting fight. I am really upset that I lost because of the flipper. I think it would have been had my flipper not died in because it died because of what I did, not because of damage he did. It's just because I hadn't figured out that there was a misalignment issue. Yeah, I think if it would have went to a judge's decision, I might have still lost, but the judges would have really had to make a tough decision. But it kind of sucks. I think, there was a couple times I wish I would have been able to capitalize when he was like upside down. If I would have been able to face him a little bit quicker and get the pin in, maybe I could have, made out in a win if it made it that long. But I feel pretty good otherwise, considering that's the number one seed and I didn't completely embarrass myself, especially with a robot that is losing rank as we like in each event that it's been in back at. So what was I gonna say? So it was a 2-2 event. As you said, it was a 2-2 event, but I don't think I have footage of it. Do I have footage? One second. Let me check if I have footage of it. I don't have footage of it, but I should have grabbed footage of it. Actually, I might still be able to before I post the final version. Yeah, Blight is a terrifying robot, but it doesn't hit super hard. It's just really stable. But for some reason in that fight, it wasn't stable and it was all over the place. I talked to him later. I think he like split some part of his weapon in that fight, and that's why he was flying around. But as I trying to, there was after this fight, since I was trying, I actually thought of it during the event because I keep 2 copies of Bigfoot, and I realized that my second copy of Bigfoot didn't have the flipper issue. Like if I had the flipper go back and forth on my second copy, it wouldn't get stuck. And so what I did is I did a grudge match after this. I can't remember the name of the robot, but I did a grudge match after this. And during the whole fight, the flipper kept working. I used it just fine throughout the whole grudge match. And that's when I decided to mess with the flipper on the version that fought all day during this one. And I realized that if I just tighten and loosen screws just right on it, that the flipper keeps working and doesn't get stuck. So I think it was literally just a misalignment issue. And I don't, it was, I can't, I would have to look back on who it was. I couldn't check real quick. RCE, that was RSL September. I'm checking real quick. It was not. It was a robot that didn't make it into the I want to say it was C'est La Vie. That's who it was. It was against C'est La Vie. But yeah, I actually. And if you're wondering why didn't you use the copy of Bigfoot that didn't have the flipper issue, the other version of Bigfoot, that one wasn't driving straight at all, and I decided to go with the one that I assumed first. I think part of me assumed the flipper issue will happen on both of them, but it didn't. But one was just not driving straight, and I went with the one that was driving straight, and it ended up costing me. I think, looking back, I think I was losing the two fights I lost anyways, because they're against Blight and Cookie Cutter, which are two really good bots. But I feel like there is also an argument that could have been made that I might have made the bracket had I not had those flipper issues. Ultimately, it was a rough event, but I'm not done talking because I also took Skunk Ape to that event. Also, if you're wondering, I will still put out edited videos. I'll try to use as much footage from this stream as possible. But yeah, there'll still be edited videos in case you're worried about that. It'll be a lot more condensed, and I'll probably take out a lot of the stuff. Some of the stuff talking about to chat, at least the stuff to talking to chat that is I don't think is relevant to the event. But Skunk Ape, for those that are wondering, Skunk Ape is basically Bigfoot. Yeah, Cookie Cutter, I think I did also have more time, but I also took Skunk Ape to that event. Skunk Ape, I had some old 2822s, and I also had two Fingertech, what are they called? The Fingertech drums, I think they're called, because they just clamp around the 2822 motor. I had a few laying around from, I think, for the version 1 of Hodag, and used 2822s. And for those, the original plan with Skunk Ape was to actually put Hodag's weapon on the Skunk Ape, but the problem is Hodag's weapon is too heavy. There was no way I could find the weight. It was actually almost exactly at weight with the 2822 and the Fingertech clamp. So, but yeah, I do like your thinking of putting, I might still put Hodag's weapon on a robot, on an antweight robot, but it won't be Skunk Ape. Spoiler alert, I guess. I guess it'll probably be spoiled before anyways. I am very open with my robots. I'm not cryptic about anything I do, ironically. But, and the important note is that those motors that I did use in that event were used. And I feel it also worth noting the motors I used, I tried to battle harden them, and I didn't do a very good job. So the motor is kind of sticky. Like it would get stuck at points. So it won't be relevant at the beginning of the event, but you might see it later. Same event, modified Swiss. Let's get into it. Our first fight is against Pablo Escobeater. Those that have seen my videos with Jackalope will be familiar. That name should sound familiar to those that watch my other videos about Jackalope. In that this is the antweight version of Pablo Escobar, although that's a drum and this is a beater bar. That's a notable change. It's a 4-wheel drive beater bar. This is actually its first fight and its first event. So it's 2 robots and it's both their first fight. So that means that is the first fight for both of us. So we'll see how it goes. I do not actually use the repeat 2822. After this event, I was using like regular generic 2822s for this. After this event, I actually used Palm Beach 2820. I used Palm Beach 2822s after this. Yeah, it was going on a tear. It went like 4-0 during the group phase. I have considered using the repeat 2822 on this robot though. But the problem is I'd have to make more design changes in order to do that, and I just didn't. 1 second. There we go. Okay. So you can see his beater bar is able to hit my forks when we go straight on. I did get a nice hit on him. I'm really struggling to get squared up for a while. And now this was a problem. I didn't actually fix this after this event, but the forks like to get stuck downward on Skunk Ape. It's trying to maneuver around him, wasn't working. Not driving quite as straight anymore. Able to self-right by driving to the wall. I didn't think to test that before. Fork really gets stuck downward, and I am in trouble. Honestly, my biggest issue is the fork getting stuck downward. Because we're still spinning, and the drive's still driving. The wheel guard is starting to come off, but... Oh no. I do get a pop on him. Now his forks are downward. Oh. So this, we kind of ended sort of sad with his forked meat. Yeah, that was a brutal fight. I got roof shotted like 5 billion times. So unsurprisingly, I lost that judge's decision. I am pretty impressed with how durable Skunk Ape is, considering it took a lot of hits and kept going. The forks are obviously an issue, them getting stuck downward. What's really funny is I think right before this event is when I put out the video where I literally talk about how you should test your forks to see if they get stuck in like the downward position. And I didn't do that with Skunk Ape. I'm not even listening to my own advice. I should listen to myself more, apparently. I need to watch my own videos. But do I have damage photos from that? I do. I'm going to go back just so I can show you the damage photos. In the actual final video, it'll just be... it'll be like just while I talk, but I didn't want to, I wanted to... So that this... The screw just sort of pops out there. And there's a crack on the top because honestly, this is PLA Plus, the top plate, and it's really thin. He also, I think, got a hit on the upright. This is also PLA Plus. And that got split. It is so, yeah, I have no one to blame but myself. I knew better. A little bit chunk there. Yeah, this, Everything's fine though. The wiring inside is perfectly fine. I did for it was so close to being at weight that I had to take screws out. I didn't mention that before, but this one was it was like overweight when I came to the event. Oh, that's a different fight. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, that was a rough one. Oh yeah, this is it does use different top plates because as you can see, this part would be exposed on Bigfoot. If I try it, yeah, it just wouldn't work if I used the same top plate. I get like there would have to be an open section on Skunk Ape, and that just wouldn't work because the top plates on Bigfoot don't connect at any point. So I couldn't the only thing really preventing me from using carbon fiber. The only thing preventing me from using carbon fiber on the top plate is that I don't have the weight for it. Maybe if I had it really thin, I probably could. But Skunk Ape is also meant to be like cheap and just thrown together. So ordering carbon fiber top plates is not within the essence of what Skunk Ape is, in that it's in the essence being kind of crappy and cheap. Because in this event, I was just using leftover motors pretty much. Skunk Ape is mostly just spare parts other than a couple 3D print parts. So I lost to start our day, which is not good. Our second fight is against Freebird. Freebird is a 2-wheel drive horizontal. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was originally a scalar kit, but it's been heavily modified. I think it actually even has repeat compacts, so like basically Beetle, is the motors that I'm using in Hodag. So it's got some BV drive motors, which is crazy for a horizontal spinner. But hopefully we'll have better luck against this robot. And we got to switch over. One thing I'm realizing is going to be a problem when I try to edit the video is I'm not looking at the camera as much because I'm having to like manage things. Okay. Oh, now it stops spinning. It is worth noting that the weapon was spinning when I like did a Twitch test when I put it in the box. But hopefully we can be a wedge because I mean the base frame is a control bot, so this should work. I can just pin him. Oh no. And the robot turned off. What the fuck? Okay, this time I actually did get the shot though. Not sure. So that's an improvement at least. Oh, what the hell? I have no idea what just happened. Sorry, switching cameras. I still don't know what happened. I didn't change anything, and I did a whole other event after this without like making any drastic changes to the electronics, and it was fine. I don't think I had the throttle on for the weapon motor, so I don't think that was it. So I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, that's been an ongoing thing. It happened with the injection fight. The injection fight was the most egregious where I didn't get the shot because in the injection fight there was actually something happen. It was a very exciting moment, but yeah, there's a non-zero chance that I didn't like screw the power switch on enough because it wasn't even during like a big hit. None of the soldering connections failed. That I'm gonna just chalk it up to a fluke. There's a good chance that it was like me not turning the power switch on enough because I think I took it out of the box and it was beeping at me too. So that was there's not much I can do about that. That puts us at 0-2 starting the event. So there's no way we can make the single elimination bracket, but I guess we'll just keep fighting and maybe we can at least get a couple wins in. It did not want any of it. It was done. And what's thing about also with Skunk Ape is that because it was a thrown together robot, I didn't have a second copy of Skunk Ape going into this event. So having to repair after the first fight against Pablo Escobar was stressful. Let's just say that. But I could probably do open top drive motors because they are, but the thing is like, I don't know. I guess that I feel like that would only save like a few grams. I don't know if that would actually even save that much, but I'll definitely look into some different stuff. Digitalis. I'll have to. Maybe I'll look that up quick before we get into the next fight. Digitalis. Before we get into the next fight, I'm going to look that up. Okay, we're not going to do it that way. I switched to the wrong scene. I was like, oh, we can't actually even. Digit. Is this not a. Not. Oh, wait, no, I'm looking at events. That's probably why. Digitalis. Tulsa. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. My question is, wait, what's keeping the motor in place, though? No, I don't want to save it. Oh, but this is not a repeat motor because this is mounted behind it. My motor is mounted right here, so I don't know if it like doing it like this would not work the same. Because his motor mounts here, my motor mounts like this. So I guess maybe I could do something similar, but there's definitely ways I could get weight savings out of. I think once I do a vert that is, when I do a dedicated vert instead of, because I think things will be different once I actually make a dedicated vert. Because Skunk Ape is just a play, yeah. Maybe Skunk Ape will evolve into its own bot. Because honestly, with Bigfoot, how it's been going, I've been kind of wanting to lean away from Bigfoot, but that is for you guys but that was after the next event. Let's finish up our next fight. We have only one more fight to get through because, spoiler alert, the last person I fought was forfeited, but the third fight is against, what was it? Who was it against? Oh, our third fight is against Dr. Boom. Dr. Boom is a 2-wheel drive vert. I know Dr. Boom doesn't have a great record, so I'm hoping maybe I can eke out a win because it's another 0-2 bot. But let's see how it goes. Let's see if that is what happened, because Lord knows. Skunk Ape is also worth noting. Actually, before I get into it, I should also note that, as I mentioned before, I was having problems with the weapon motor on Skunk Ape, and Dr. Boom had to postpone. So this and Bigfoot was at the end of the bracket. So I had to fight this immediately after I did the Bigfoot fight. And then, so going into this fight, like I had to power cycle the weapon, like the robot several times, and it just wasn't spinning. So I just had to go into this fight with no weapon. So I just had to go into this fight with no weapon. So yeah, from the start, we don't have a weapon, but I just have to be a control bot, I guess. He ends up getting stuck here, but he self-rights. Because let's be honest, if he gets stuck at all, since I don't have a weapon, I'm just gonna leave him because it's not like I can capitalize. Yeah, I didn't quite release enough, and so I gave him more space. It does seem like my forks are just slightly better than his. I think I did. I keep getting stuck in the ground. The ground is really beat up. Get him upside down. I'm being real careful to stay away from that weapon. But I do know that if it's front to front, I will win. So I do take advantage of that. Ooh, he does just barely get a pop on me when I was about to pin him. Ooh, he ends up getting a hit towards the end. It loosens up that wheel guard. But I'm still trying to stay aggressive because I know my weapon's down. I don't know if they would have counted it that for damage, but... I wasn't confident, so I keep going at him. Unfortunately, I'm upside down. My drive is compromised. Ugh. So it was already rough going into that fight without my weapon. Although I did have the ground game on him for the entire fight, and had control of that whole fight. Basically, I was dictating the pace for the most part. I was driving pretty conservatively because I didn't have a weapon, and I didn't really have a means of self-righting. And after that one hit that sort of threw my wheel guard off, I should have been even more... I should have been a little bit more careful. And Casey, the ref, even said that that last hit was probably what lost me the match. I think maybe if I would have been able to keep, because one wheel kind of came off at the second hit, but that hit right at the bell, right before the bell, that made me lose the judge's decision, probably because I compromised drive. I don't know if they counted the weapon against me because it was dead before the fight even started, and it was pretty clear it was dead before the fight even started. Because it was the whole rigmarole of me trying to power cycle it again and again. It was just a frustrating fight because I had control, and at the very last second, I ended up losing because of the wheel guards, and like 3 hits did me in. I think I would have won that one had I had a working weapon, because I would have been able to actually get pops on him and been able to capitalize when he was upside down. I don't think they did, and I think even if you don't count the weapon, I don't think I would have won either way. It was really that last hit that caused me to lose. And for the fourth fight, it was supposed to be against Oathbringer, but since Blight was actually having a rough day, he had to focus on that, so he had to have Oathbringer keep forfeiting. So yeah, Skunk Ape's only win at this event was a forfeit, which is pretty rough. I want to know if you did the fork weapon lineup trick with Skunk Ape. What do you mean the fork weapon lineup trick? Is this a thing I should know about? Am I dumb? Yeah, Oath lost a ton of rank because it went 0-4 essentially at this event or maybe it went or something like that, because that's why I got teed up against Skunk Ape, and it's the only reason Skunk Ape wasn't in a total hole because Oathbringer was pretty highly ranked going into this. There was another event that was after this that I brought Bigfoot and Skunk Ape to. I'm going to end up doing another React on stream next week. And then the next week, and then the week after that, I'll do the one that for the event that I'm going to this weekend, which is another RSL event. It is the last event of the MRCA season. It is a different format where it's basically going to be every fight is matchmade. So like you're going to be going against people that are close to your rank. Oh, with the weapon rank angle. Maybe I should do that. But the thing is that about lining the forks up with the weapon rank angle is that the fingertech hub or the fingertech I guess hub, yeah, it's like at a weird rake. But I guess I could have done that. Maybe I'll need to do that on some of my future verts that I make, but yeah, this weekend is going to be my last fight of the season. Actually, I'm going to do an event next weekend. It's my last chance to qualify for finals. I don't have any robots qualified for finals because, spoiler alert, Bigfoot did not do well at the event after this one. So Bigfoot fell out of being qualified. And at the event this weekend, I'm actually bringing Skunk Ape because even though it didn't do well at this event you just saw, it actually did better at the event after this. It did better than Bigfoot at the event after this. Although Bigfoot did have some tough matchups at that event. Skunk Ape kind of did too, but because yeah, Skunk Ape, I'll be bringing Skunk Ape and Hodag, and it'll be the brand. I didn't fix the fork issues for the event I did after this, but I did fix Skunk Ape's forks. Oh, that I have to actually make that undercutter. It only exists in CAD. It won't be till next year, unfortunately, because I'm only doing at most the event this weekend, and then I might, depending on whether I qualify for finals or not and stuff. There's finals, and then there's an event in Purdue I might do, like Purdue the college. So this is new Hodag. This is going to be fighting this weekend at RSL. It's been pipeline punchified. It looks kind of like pipeline punch. Now, it's been rubbing off on everybody. So, ideally, this should punch a lot harder. There are some concerns with the punching mechanism. I basically created new. Will that undercutter be a more focused bot like Bigfoot, or is it a one-time bot? The undercutter I made, whichever weekend that was it last weekend? No, it was 2 weekends ago. That one won't be. We'll see if it ends up being a focused or a one-time bot, because that is meant to be driven by someone other than me. I don't know if I mentioned that in the stream, but we'll see. It might end up being a regular, or it might not be. I think if it becomes a regular, it won't be the boxy shape it is now. This is going into this event. Actually, both copies are driving straight, which is good. Because these are old. These are the same old wheels as before, and I had to drill out the front wheels, so it isn't quite as good as I think it could be. I think once I mold new wheels, it'll drive better, but we'll see. I haven't had much time to practice driving because getting a second copy in the last minute has been a whole thing. What's funny is I have plans to possibly make two undercutters next year. The one that you saw me do cat of is one, and maybe a beetle, but I haven't quite hashed out the details on the beetle, on what that'll be and how I want to do it. Also, when I'll do it, because I'm probably not going to make a beetle until until Hodag is being kind of phased out, at least because Hodag is really expensive to make and work on, and I want to work on a more competitive beetle that doesn't cost me nearly as much money. But yeah, so once I take Hodag back to NHRL, then I'll start working on another beetle, and it'll probably be an undercutter, although I reserve the right to make it not an undercutter because I have two ideas rattling around in my brain. One of them's an undercutter with a little bit of spice to it that I don't think I've seen before, and the other is more of a lifter situation, or I guess it's more of a hammer saw, I guess, but a hammer saw lifter. Oh yeah, the one I made recently wasn't built to be a competitive robot. It was meant to be a robot that you can build, that anyone can build with like no tools or like minimal tools. So it's not gonna be, at least the first version. If it ends up being a mainstay bot, it'll probably be mostly 3D printed. I'll throw a bunch of TPU. Ah, I see. But yeah, the I'm not even sure what that'll be named because I won't be the one driving it, so I won't necessarily have final say on the name. But yeah, that one will be. One name that's been throwing around is like I'm a Spooky Lake Monster, which is just a silly, goofy name, but it'll be interesting. Because like part of me is so used to making robots that are basically a control robot with a weapon on it, because like that's essentially what Hodag is. That's what Skunk Ape is really, and because it was placed on a lifter, so it has to have some control aspects to it. And I think working on that undercutter, like the big undercutter, will give me a chance to sort of flex some other muscles, which might result in the season next year being like this season where I do kind of mediocre because I'm focusing between too many robots, but we'll see. Ugh. The forks for that robot were kind of an afterthought and are meant to be what I can make easily out of UHMW. I feel like Hodag's forks have been the most successful forks that I've made. Like these fat TPU forks. And Skunk Ape's forks, when they're not being stuck downward, work pretty well, actually. Gear-driven undercutter? Maybe I'll do a gear-driven undercutter. Maybe the one that I was working on before, I might change it to gear-driven. We'll see. Because that's going to probably go to one event and be overhauled. Probably, I would say the moment that goes to another event, I'm going to start working on version 2. Part of me really wants to do a gear-driven undercutter, but I think having gears that are durable is really hard, as I learned with the punching mechanism here, because this rack, this thing like chews itself up so quick. So, but I like the idea of a gear-driven one. Maybe I will. Maybe that's what I need. But it doesn't fit my style of driving is the thing. The one if I make an undercutter, it'll probably be like a small weapon that has like control forks. Because I'm not gonna be able to make the next mud skipper. That just won't be me. Unless I have like a whole character arc that changes that. See, these forks, I can't do it too. I can't do that too. See, I would get Skunk Ape out, but because I drive up Friday and I was streaming today, it's packed up. And this is not packed up because I did some work on it. Because I realized that these middle forks, how I have them in here, are actually really hard to get on and off. I guess because of how I have it, it's really hard to get these off. Because I am dumb and I'm bad at making robots. Mud Skipper V2. Oh God, people have been trying to peer pressure Remy into bringing Mud Skipper to the event this next weekend. And as much as I would love to see that, it's going to make the battle to get qualified next weekend a lot harder, because doing the math in my head, because it is an event where one, I'm match made, where I'm match made against bots of the same rank, and because I get to decide when it stops. Hodag needs to win 2 fights. I need 2 more fights than losses with Hodag. So, but I don't. This version of Hodag is so new that it feels like a wild card. Like this could, if it works perfectly, it's like, oh, the drive won't die, unlike before, and it'll be more damaging. It'll be objectively better if everything goes my way. But there's also a chance that, oh, yeah, I just introduced new problems. So we'll see. It's Hodag's performance this weekend is going to be interesting, because I know I'm going to have to face some killers. Like guaranteed. Cause I'm either fighting Herbert or some other robot that, Jewel, which is not a robot I'm familiar with. So if I go against Herbert in the first round, I can beat Herbert because I almost beat him in a fight at Indianapolis at Circle City, which was my most recent, and that 2-2. The thing is, if I go 2-2, I can keep fighting, and which I might do with Hodag if I go 2-2. So it'll be very different. So I probably won't go 2-2. Because if I go 2-2, if I win the 2 fights after that, I can still qualify for finals. So there is an almost 0% chance that I'll go 2-2 mathematically. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. This version of Hodag fucks. Oh yeah, pipeline. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I don't know much about the Pacific Punch. Is it an actual kit, or was he just knocking off Pipeline? Because I don't know much about that robot, but yeah, because that's a robot that I could very likely end up fighting next weekend or this weekend. I feel like Fragment X is another one that I'm very much likely to fight. My initial prediction for who I was going to fight in the first round was Fragment X, but now I'm predicting that if I win my first fight, I'm fighting Fragment X in the second round. Mathematically, if I fight Herbert in the first round, and it's like the bots that are currently signed up, I'm assuming Fragment X is going to win because I don't think Jewel is that scary of a robot compared to Fragment X. And I think mathematically I'll end up fighting in the second round. It is a kit. It's different from the actual. Okay. Because it took me a while to realize that when Dollar Store Punch was made, that he actually had access to the CAD. I didn't find that out until I fought him, but it could go 6-0. I hope it doesn't because Hodag will probably be somewhere in the path of Fragment X. Yeah, some people have gotten early access to the Pipeline Punch Kit. Yeah, Blight, the same driver of Blight is the same one of Tropical Trouble. You know, we'll actually go to the event since we're talking about it. Oh, I need to activate. 1 second. Sorry. There we go. We'll just look. We're talking about the event because I did. No, I don't want to search. We'll just go. Yeah, since I already talked about what I was going to talk about, we'll talk about this event. 40. I didn't even bother trying to like figure out who I'm going to fight for the ant weights because there's almost 50 ants. That's so many ants. And Skunk Ape is like in the middle of it. So I'm just going to, I'll fight who I fight, I guess. But Hodag, Pacific Punch, originally, I like, so who's, as far as ranking goes for Hodag, Herbert is directly above me and Jewel is directly behind me, which is funny because I made predictions earlier in the week and then these two signed up and I'm like, oh, this is because Jewel and Fragment X have almost the same rank, so they're probably going to fight each other. And I looked up Jewel on the MRCA rankings and it told me nothing because it went 2-2 at Michigan Mashup, and the robots it beat were super easy, and the robots it lost to were super good because it lost to like Pipeline, or not Pipeline. It was lost to, was it Pipeline? Well, one of them was Wicked Wedge. It was Wicked Wedge, and I don't remember who the other one was, but it was another good robot. So I'm like, oh yeah, those are who I'd expected to lose to, and then it was like two robots with losing records. So I'm like, oh, this tells me nothing. We're going to Indianapolis. Ooh. Well, I've gone to a couple events in Indianapolis. Or I've gone to one. Lunar Robotics. Yeah, Pacific Punch. Throngler. Also, I was just thinking, Matt, I'm assuming at RSL they're going to be doing something to prevent us from fighting the same robot more than once. Because otherwise, Matt with French Toast Sticks is just going to be fighting like going back and forth between fighting like the Throngler and Grim. Just gonna a Navy Pacific Punch in there. But yeah, Hodag is definitely gonna have a lot harder fights than Skunk Ape is to start the day. Because marker rankings. Yeah, they almost have to, because otherwise you would just fight, I think, like Throng. Do I have my? I thought I don't have it down here. I wrote down the rankings of the robots, but like, yeah, they almost have to, because obviously for ants, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because you're just basically going to go between the top two robots, and it'd be super, because I think it's Grim and what's Wrongler I know is up there. Yeah, I think you just go back and forth between Grim and Throngler depending on who wins and loses. But and it's obviously only an issue at the ends of the bracket because especially for ants in the middle, it's going to be a clusterfuck. It's oh my god. Oh, nice. No, that. Yeah, no, I know there's like 4 new bots. So like, yeah, in the middle it's not an issue, but at the ends it's gonna be. There's no way they would have you fight the same robot like even more than once. Although what's funny is theoretically for you, you like if they purposely avoid it, the situation is either A, you're just fighting the same robot or two, three or six times, or you're just gonna end up fighting like you're just gonna be going down the rankings, just fighting. You're gonna be like, okay, I fight Grim, then I'm gonna fight Throngler, and then maybe I guess that might change depending on who goes up. That is also what I'm wondering because I don't think because there has to be like he's has to be giving like a certain amount of time to like get people to queue up. That way, you're not just going against whoever walked up to the table last. So that's going to be interesting. So yeah, that's kind of weird. I'm not because yeah, I know you can queue up at different times, but there has to be like some sort of wait period to like be. Oh yeah, now he's ready. Yeah, I was like, we don't want to do that. What's kind of funny is the whole point of the matchmaking event is to have interesting fights, but having the same two robots fight over and over again would undermine that. So I don't think he's going to do that. There's no way. I feel like it might end up happening once on accident, and then yeah. I feel like I don't think, I think he wants to avoid boring fights. So I don't like for this, because the whole point is he said it's like, okay, we want interesting fights. I don't think he would uh, try that too many times. But yeah, I don't know if the ants have to worry about that as much because there's 5 gabillion ants that are going to be here. It's going to be a whole cluster. I thought Jupiter usually streamed on Thursdays. Did they move to avoid me? The only two combat robot streamers? I'm going to put some music on. It's too quiet. 1 second. Okay, yeah, there we go. Midnight. Yeah, I have no clue who I'm gonna fight. I want to see Creeping Death. That's one I'm excited to see as far as the ants go. That's a controversial statement. Better? RSL better than. I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, some of the streams don't end up going up in time, but RSL is definitely the closest thing we have. What about Ampere? Yeah, I end up paying attention because I'm one of the people that has to qualify this weekend. So it's gonna be brutal trying to qualify because I didn't even keep track, but there's about like most of these robots are either like new, just below like a losing record, or like between like a new robot as far as ELO and like qualifying. Because if we look at there's no way after this weekend the Fox is still qualified. There's so many robots that could win one fight and stop and then be qualified. And there's even more that could win, because mathematically, I looked at it. If we assume 16 points each, Skunk Ape could win 2 fights and be like sitting around here. I think is what it ends up. Yeah, because I'm at 96 or 1496 plus 32 is 1528. Zugazug Wang will be there. Bioluminescence will be there. Heisenberg will be there. So these robots may need like a winning record in order to stay. Because the number to stay in will be higher than 1523. I can guarantee you that. I don't know what it'll be, which makes me think that Skunk Ape may need 3 wins, even though like on paper it looks like 2. But yeah, that one's there. Bioluminescence is going to be there. Heisenberg. Lawnmower Chaos Midnight's going to be there. The one thing that is kind of annoying about trying to qualify an event that's being match made is that there's no way of you getting a bunch of extra points from someone way higher ranked than you. So you have to like crawl your way up. There's no shortcuts, no getting luck. Je ne sais quoi. Hodang and Je ne sais quoi were at the same event, I believe. It was, yeah, in Circle City. We didn't end up fighting though. I haven't actually fought Hodang hasn't fought a horizontal since NHRL. Where I fought two of them. I guess, what am I saying? Hodag's only been to 1 event since NHRL. I don't know why I'm being goofy. But there's a lot. I noticed a lot of these ants are horizontals, and Skunk Ape doesn't have much of a wedge going on. I don't have much planned for horizontals. Although I did get lucky against Midnight and beat Kingslayer in the Burb, so maybe I got a shot. But yeah, there's no way I'm not fighting a horizontal this weekend. That's ants again. 4-wheel drives. Oh, I'm thinking of a different robot. I was thinking I was actually thinking of the same builder. I was thinking of Toby's other robot. I did fight a robot that had like a similar forks as Je ne sais quoi when I was in Indianapolis. I don't think Je ne sais quoi was there, even though Toby was. Yeah, Fragment X. Yeah, there's a lot. I'm not T3. Was it T? It might have been T3 was I was thinking of, but yeah, there's so many horizontals, and Skunk Ape is not ready for horizontals. I don't think, but he does have. The only time I lost against a horizontal with Skunk Ape, my weapon didn't work in that fight, and it turned off for no reason, as we saw today. It was against Freebird, but he got lucky. Vision. There's one hammer saw in the ants, Accretion, but Accretion is far enough down in the the rankings. I'm not super worried about it. That is one. Yeah, because I don't think we're gonna have to worry about Accretion unless Accretion goes on a winning spree. But if I'm getting to that point, I'm already having a rough day. Where if I have to fight Accretion. Trunkinator I've never had to fight a big wheel bot. I don't know how that's gonna go. I think Hot Tea Hot Tea here. I don't think so. Hot Tea is gonna be there. We got 2 big wheel bots. That's gonna be. I think I was thinking of T3 because I don't think Horza Vertical was there. And I'm pretty sure Accretion had a major drive problem. Yeah. Yeah, when I fought him, he had the problem of firing his hammer saw when he was nowhere near me and getting stuck in the ground. That's what he had, the problem he had against Bigfoot. He's just like, and I'm like, well, I guess so. Ampere, hammer saw. Maybe you'll see Ampere versus either, because there's 2 hammer saws. Is Riker maneuver still a hammer saw? I feel like that has 5 billion configurations, but I've only seen like one of them used. And then we have obviously why am I forgetting the name of Jer's hammer saw? Chop Shop. Oh, I think I remember that one. Eruption tore apart Mako. I didn't realize Line Dance was so far up. I think that did better than I thought it did. Yeah, there's some robots I'm like, oh, Lawnmower Chaos, I think, did a lot better than it used to. I remember last year it was struggling. It's kind of crazy that Heisenberg went 2-2. I guess that's also factoring in previous seasons. Yeah, I don't think there's any robots with. Crazy that there's some robots that are been like even. I might be thinking of a different fight than you. Roundabout. I know this is one of the robots that's around where I don't remember what TS247 is. Because I know this is one of the robots that's around where Skunk Ape is. As far as like MRCA rank. Because yeah, even though Skunk Ape is a lower rank than Bigfoot, because this is where Skunk Ape is. Because even though Bigfoot's a little bit higher, I don't trust Bigfoot. It's not even like the weapon getting stuck. It's that at the last event, Bigfoot's flipper worked at the last event, and I still went 1-3. Yeah, Skunk Ape. Yeah. I went 1-3 at the last event, and I wasn't even having the flipper issues. I do feel like the ShimWow, that was I don't know about that judge's decision, but. Grandma. There's just so many ants in general. Swoop. I don't would swoop the weapon. Swoop? I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know who swoop is. I don't know who swoop is. Must not be a Merkabot. It's not Merkabot. It's not real. We got swoop. E. Oh, drum spinner. Ah, I see. They just compete like one. What? It's weird. Or is it just not loading? There's a very this. Look it up then. Make sure I'll do it in a separate thing. YO Robotics. Bigfoot's most recent video. Okay, let me try to look. Oh, this is the swoop one. See what you're talking about. Oh, wow. Oh, there goes the weapon. Did he just tab out? Yeah, I mean... Mudskipper is nuts. Yeah, being able to knock the weapon off a Mudskipper is no small feat. Because I know, not too... Mudskipper has very few losses. Actually insane. I certainly wouldn't want to fight that thing. Oh, do I have the clip of... Oh, yeah. I have this clip. I don't know why I'm opening it in browser. There we go. Yeah, I have the clip of this robot. I forgot I took video. Because it seems to be working here. This is one of... I want to see the actual walker. I want to see how someone fights this. Yeah, I think that... A lot of times when I hear of people taking out Mudskipper's weapon, it's usually at like just the right time. Oh, that thing is wobbly. Yeah, I want to see this thing. Because, like, I'm not sure. Because I feel like part of me is like, oh, this is going to hit and it's not going to move very far because it weighs twice as much. But also, I feel like that has to be delicate. Like, this has to be... Yeah, I'm worried this thing will just shatter into pieces. Which might be why he's taking it to this event specifically, because he can basically have it stop fighting without any without like it being punished and having to forfeit. But damn. I kind of want to fight this thing. Maybe I will. There might be a situation where Skunk Ape gets to fight this thing, but that would be wild. The drums. Interesting. He hasn't done much this year, but did a lot more last year. Else, he might have moved on to another robot. I don't know. Yeah, Hodag Hodag was in the top 32 at one point. I think it actually dropped at the last event. I think is when it happened. It's ranked 50th. It was in the top 32, but like barely for a while. But the last event it went to, it fought good new robots is the problem. And it fought the robots I beat had like terrible ELO, and then the robots that beat me were like unranked. And so it's like, oh. Because that was like Herbert's first event. Injections like only MRCA event. So yeah. Yeah, peaked after RSL is like around here. Either a Harbor City Riot or maybe it was RSL April, the highest. But oh, Navy, yeah. I do think it's funny that Hodag's first event he ended up at exactly 1500 ELO. It's like as if he was a new bot. And then we gotta get rid of half of 15, whatever the difference of 1500 is. Big wheel robot. Yeah, because Boom Shakalaka didn't help me out. Rattle Can still less than 15. I guess they weren't. Yeah, and these losses were more than 16. So yeah, Circle City Clash. And those fights I lost were like barely losses too. But I just got to fight the Trooper. Oh, I forgot I fought the Trooper in the first event. I don't have much for you guys because we went over the event. Next week, obviously I got an event this weekend. I need to make social media posts about that. I'm bad at making social media posts off of YouTube. But yeah, I'll be in Hastings this weekend, and then we gotta hopefully qualify for finals. Next week will be the reaction to. I'll do a recap of the event, Battle in the Burbs. I'll talk about that, and then the weekend after that, I'm going to talk about the Hastings event. I'm going to try to do it so I do the recaps for events as closer, if not the weekend after, on the stream. That way, there's at least something that people can, like, at least the dedicated viewership can see right away. But I'm still going to do an edited video. That way, the larger public will be able to see them. And then we'll see how finals goes. If I don't qualify for finals, I'll probably just volunteer then. But if I don't qualify, if Hodag doesn't qualify, Hodag is going to Purdue. If Hodag does qualify for finals, I might not take Hodag to Purdue. We'll see. But exciting stuff. I mean, scalers can be tough, especially if you don't have a wedge. So, yeah, because I remember there was one Michigan mashup last year in 2024. Scalers were running amok, And I think part of the reason was a lot of the wedges, they're like natural predator, were taken out in the tournament pretty early on. And also Bigfoot didn't get to fight one that. Although Bigfoot has had mixed results against scalers, I guess, but I have to pack up because I've done basically no packing. And I'm just rambling at this point. But see you guys hopefully next week. I'm hoping the next stream will be next weekend or next week Thursday, keeping the same time. I'll be sure to schedule it soon. Next weekend is the next stream. Or not weekend, but yeah, same next Thursday. Hopefully I'll get back to streaming. Hopefully I'll be able to, especially now that I have it planned out and the season's almost over. After the event, after I get caught up on event recaps, I'll probably focus on the next robot, which I'll go into more detail when it is in the future. It'll be, it may be the return of Jackalope. Scalar kits are legit. I mean, they're definitely competitive. If you're looking to be competitive, that definitely is the choice. Good night. I'll see you guys next week, Thursday. Same bat time, same bat place. If